Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Conan. Today, I'm making my official picks for the 2025 NBA Awards. And it's everything. It's MVP, DPOY, Most Improved, Sixth Man of the Year, etc. All the way down to the All-NBA, All-Defensive, and All-Rookie teams. I made a selection for everything. And this is a really hard NBA award season. It took me a lot longer than I wanted to make this video because I just couldn't decide on some of these. But here are my picks, or honorable mentions. I'm going to provide rationale as to why I made every decision. And because this is my opinion, I want to hear yours. Who would you have winning each and all these awards? Who's the biggest snub on my ballot? And keep in mind, this is just ultimately my ballot. It's not my official prediction of who's going to win. If I was voting, this is the way I would vote. So leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And let's go ahead and get into the awards. I want to start off with one that's been very controversial throughout this season, and it's Defensive Player of the Year. It's gone very back and forth after Victor Wembanyama was ruled out for a majority of the season with deep vein thrombosis. We saw Jaren Jackson Jr. be the front runner. We saw Draymond Green be it as of right now. Evan Mobley was in the mix for a bit. Guys like Lu Dort and Dyson Daniels have moved up and down from second to third and back and forth. It's been a ton of debate, but ultimately, the guy that I'm going with is Evan Mobley. I feel like Mobley has been in this conversation the entire year. He has been the best, most versatile defender on one of the best teams in the NBA, a team that has slipped a little bit defensively, but is still a top 10 unit. He is just such a game-breaking type of player. He is able to switch on the perimeter, guard almost anybody, keep up with them. He's got the foot speed, the length, the shot blocking, rim deterrence. He's kind of the total package when you talk about a defensive player, a modern big that you want to see out there. Mobley is a special talent. There's a reason he's already finished as a top 3 DPOY guy. He's been in the race all year. He's someone that I've always considered in second or third behind Victor Wembanyama, and now I think he's the guy that should go ahead and win this one. I'm not going to blame you if you go with Draymond Green. I know he has surged in the voting, in the betting odds as of late, and he has been a ridiculous defender. The Golden State Warriors are one of the better defenses in the league, especially as of late. He's been the key cog in that whole machine, locking up some of the opposing team's best scores. He is still someone that can block shots, make these crazy plays in his mid-30s. Draymond is a special defender. I just ultimately lean Evan Mobley a little bit more. Shout out to Lu Dort. As a Thunder fan, would love to pick him, but I think he just falls a little bit short. There are just so many great defenders on this Thunder team. I don't think anybody's going to get awarded specifically for this spot. I think ultimately Chet Holmgren might have been that DPOY winner if he played enough games. Thompson, also ridiculous. He's going to win multiple DPOYs in his career. I feel strongly about that. Dyson Daniels, the steal and deflection numbers are insane. And I do think Jalen Williams, also of OKC, is another guy that should have gotten more love throughout the season because he's been so versatile. He's played the 5, the 4, the 3, guarded 2s, guarded 1s. He's guarded basically every single position, and every advanced metric will tell you he's one of the best defenders in the sport. Next up, let's do Most Improved Player, and this is another one where the odds have shifted drastically throughout the season, but I'm going to go with Dyson Daniels. He is the favorite at the moment, and he's the guy that I'm going to lean with. He has really improved his scoring, especially has become so much more confident on that end. He's been given a lot of responsibility in that backcourt next to Trae Young. The efficiency is up, the points per game are up, the steals, the deflections, we talked about those in the DPOY conversation, are some of the highest numbers we've ever seen. It's the best numbers we've seen since Chris Paul, averaging 3 steals a night. He's a linchpin. He went from a guy that was kind of getting some run here and there with the Pelicans to one of the most important players on the Atlanta Hawks. He is maybe the guy that's risen his stock the most over the course of the season, and so ultimately he's the guy I'm going to go ahead and award this spot with. But there are so many other players you can consider. I think Zubac should be in way more contention for this MIP award. I could have even talked about him for DPOY, but ultimately I knew I was going to talk about him here, so I saved it. But he has been one of the best drop bigs in the league. He has been the anchor of that defense down low. The reason the Clippers are a top 3 defense on the season is primarily because of Zubac. One of the reasons why the Clippers survived Kawhi missing so much of the season was Zubac. I think there's an argument for him to be on an all-NBA team, so he's probably my second place guy. If I had to pick somebody, Christian Brown also belongs in that conversation. Has been way better than I was expecting in this first year starting for the Nuggets. Austin Reeves has been amazing. Ty Jerome, I think, should be in that conversation as one of the best bench players in the sport. And Quentin Grimes, I think, ultimately would have been there if he was playing like this for a majority of the season, not just since he got over to Philly. But I'm really excited to see what he can do next year with more opportunity, which I think he's definitely earned with the Philadelphia 76ers. But yeah, I'm going to go with Dyson Daniels. Next, let's do Sixth Man of the Year. And for this one, I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to go with Malik Beasley. He is not the odds-on favorite, but I think he has been the most impactful bench player in the sport. Peyton Pritchard is awesome, and what he's done this season is definitely deserving of being the favorite at the moment to win Sixth Man of the Year. And if he wins it, I'm not mad whatsoever. Such an important player for that potent Celtics team that has kept pace with the Cavaliers for majority of the season. But they've got so much talent over there. We kind of already knew they were going to be insane, and yeah, he's improved and he's been the best version of himself. But Malik Beasley is perhaps the second most important player on a Pistons team that has tripled its win total. Cade is, of course, the guy over there, but Malik Beasley has been so special this season. One of the best three-point shooting seasons of all time. The way that he has impacted this team, he's single-handedly brought them such improved spacing from last season. I can't overstate his impact. When I think about the bench players that have made the most impact this season, I think Malik Beasley is ultimately that guy. So he's the one I'm going to go with for Sixth Man of the Year. You could also talk about a Ty Jerome or a DeAndre Hunter over there in the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I think it is going to come down to a two-man race between Malik Beasley and Peyton Pritchard, and Malik's my pick. For Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go Stephon Castle. He's been the most impressive statistically this season and has really stepped up in the absence of Wemby and De'Aaron Fox as of late. Over his last 40, he's averaging 17.5, 4.5 over a steal per game, 45% shooting from the field. The efficiency has been better. The playmaking's been improving. The scoring, the defense has been great still. Everything's been pretty good for Stephon Castle on the season. I think he's done a great job of establishing himself as a core piece over there in San Antonio, next to Wemby, next to De'Aaron Fox for the long run, unless for some reason a big-time star trade becomes available and they basically are forced to part with him. I don't think he's going anywhere. One of the more untouchable players as part of that San Antonio future, but he's definitely not like the runaway favorite in my opinion. I think there's a lot of guys that could win this award or should be in consideration, like Zachary Shai. I hate just how little he's talked about as a #1 overall pick, especially with the efficiency that's been better and better over the course of the season. For the last like 41 games or so, he's been putting up around 15 on 50-40 splits. That's nuts. He is so good. He's not like the flashiest, take over a game #1 overall pick, but Reese Shea is a real impact player in his first season. You've also got Alex Sarr making a big time difference on the defensive end, blocking shots, scoring the basketball. It's not been the most efficient season, of course, but defensively, one of the more impressive guys to come out of this year's draft class. And Jalen Wells being a starter a majority of the season on a team that's been fighting for home court advantage in the Western Conference basically the entire year. It says a lot about what he's able to do out there. The efficiency is great. He's an impact player, has played some really good defense as well, has been tasked with guarding some really good players and has done a pretty good job. Unfortunately, had that wrist injury that's seemingly going to keep him out for the postseason, but overall, such an impressive year from a guy who was a second-round pick. For Coach of the Year, I've gone back and forth so much between Kenny Atkinson and JB Bickerstaff, but ultimately, I'm going to go with JB Bickerstaff of the Detroit Pistons. They tripled their win total. It's hard for me to not want to go ahead and give them some acknowledgement with that stat, especially because the culture last year was down in the dumps. They were supposed to take a little bit of a step. They had their worst season ever, one of the longest losing streaks in North American sports history, and JB Bickerstaff, after getting fired, comes into the fold here in Detroit, turns them into a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference, and a lot of guys, of course, stepped up. They brought in some outside additions, but he's been so integral to this whole identity shift, the culture, the buy-in. I'm going to go ahead and give them an award. So yeah, give me JB Bickerstaff for Coach of the Year. Again, Kenny Atkinson, it's literally splitting hairs between the two of them. I'm like 51% in favor of JB, 49% in favor of Kenny Atkinson. You could go either way. Other shouts include Ime Udoka of the Houston Rockets. I think he will probably finish top 3 if I had to say. I also think Mark Daigneault, of course, of my favorite team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, deserves some love with them being one of the best regular season teams ever, and especially with the fact that they dealt with a major injury or multiple to Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, and others over the course of the season. Which brings me to most valuable player. It's between Shai and Jokic, and I think you already know who I'm going to pick. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He is the MVP of 2025. He's going to win this award, and he's going to do it very deservingly. There are people who are going to tell you that Shai is only winning because of voter fatigue, that Jokic is more deserving. I think Jokic is a very deserving candidate, 100%. He's putting up a 30-point triple-double with a lot of guys not really stepping up to help him. And I mean, the coach just got fired, so clearly there's stuff going on behind the scenes as well, and he's still putting up these insane numbers. 100% if you go with Jokic, I get it, but at the same time, Shai is also having an all-time season when you think about the efficiency, the scoring, the elevation of this team. Any lineup that he's in has like the best net rating of all time. The Thunder are in the conversation for that, and it's a historically good regular season team. It's not just one team is great, one team is good. The Thunder have an argument for the most dominant regular season team ever. Most double-digit wins. They are competing for the best net rating ever. Probably not going to get there because they're sitting guys in the final 2 games of the season, but they've been fighting for that this entire season. They're going to set one of the highest win marks ever. They're going to have maybe the largest gap between a 1 and a 2 seed in a conference in NBA history. They're going to end up like 19, 18 games ahead of the Denver Nuggets. And I know the Thunder supporting cast, it's probably better, but also the Thunder, that supporting cast, have dealt with major injuries, like I said, to Chet, who has missed over half of the season. And he came into the year, as most people will tell you, the second most important player on this team. Isaiah Hartenstein missed a ton of time to begin the season. Guys like Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace have missed time throughout the season. Jalen Jalen Williams, it hasn't mattered. Shai's elevated every team. He's having one of the most efficient scoring seasons ever, not just by a guard, but even if you take a look at the advanced stats, a lot of them will tell you it's been Shai's season. So between the regular season success with the team's win total, the way that he's performed individually, the net rating, the advanced stats, the basic stats, everything, I think it's pretty clear that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a very, very deserving MVP candidate. He's the guy that I'm going with. I think he's going to win the award. Jokic is also awesome, but if somebody's telling you that the only reason Shai is winning is because of voter fatigue, they're just lying. Giannis is the third place guy. It's a distant third place. I think it's pretty clear Shai and Jokic as the top two, having two of the best seasons ever, but Giannis does deserve some love because he's been a monster this season. And also shout out to like Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, what he's done with the Cavs this season. Which brings us to a couple of final awards. Clutch Player of the Year is Jalen Brunson. He's been awesome for the Knicks this season. He's one of the highest scorers in the clutch in terms of total points. They've got a pretty good record in clutch games too. Like Anthony Edwards is the #1 scorer in clutch games, but the Wolves are under 500, and it's hard to give a guy that's under 500 in clutch games Clutch Player of the Year. Jokic also is in this conversation too, but I think Brunson's the pretty clear pick. This is just such a weird award because you kind of just look at a few numbers and you have almost an objective answer. Well, that's really never the case with any of the other ones. And then finally, we have Executive of the Year. I'm going to go with Rob Pelinka. I mean, he traded for Luka Doncic. I don't think I have to say more. Sam Presti of the OKC Thunder brought in Hartenstein and Alex Caruso. I think this could be the year that he wins it, but I feel like the Luka trade might overshadow that just a little bit. Mike Dunleavy trading for Jimmy Butler at the deadline for the Golden State Warriors. Yeah, I think that deserves some love too. And that brings us to the teams. All-NBA, All-Defense, and All-Rookie. I'm going to start off with the All-NBA, the big dog. First team, 4 guys are pretty much locked in stone. It's Shai, it's Giannis, it's Jokic, it's Tatum. Those guys are not going absolutely anywhere. They are locks. And then we get to the final spot. And ultimately, I did go with Donovan Mitchell. I felt like for a Cavs team that's won 65 games plus, they needed a representative at the top here. He's been their best player this season. He's led them in scoring. He's taken over down the stretch. He's had some ups and downs dealing with injury here and there, and the Cavs have slipped a little bit, losing a lot more in this end of the season portion than at the beginning of the year, but it hasn't mattered. I mean, they've been the 1 seed all season. He's still been absolutely insane. So yeah, give me Donovan Mitchell to go ahead and round out this first team. I do account for wins when I talk about all NBA. It's not the end all be all. The primary thing is production, but when the win total is as high as it is with the Cavs, I'm going to lean that way over a few other guys like LeBron, Anthony Edwards, and Steph Curry, all of whom are on my second team. I can't believe Bron is still this good in year like 47. Anthony Edwards was probably the guy that I most thought about putting an All-NBA first team. Just the numbers have been insane. The three-point shooting is mind-blowing. He's literally Steph Curry now, and he can also dunk on you, but I just lean Mitchell a little bit. And then Steph Curry, speaking of Steph, with the way that he has surged in the second half of the season since the Jimmy Butler acquisition, it's been ridiculous and is 100% deserving of a spot here on All-NBA second team. Then I went with Evan Mobley. Again, I talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. He is my defensive player of the year. He's averaging right around 20 points per game. If I had to pick the biggest reason for the Cavs taking this jump this season, it would be the growth and production and versatility of Evan Mobley on both ends. He's becoming the big man that I thought he could be. I had so much Evan Mobley stock. He was my favorite player in his draft class, and here he is going to be the first guy to make an All-NBA second team out of that group. And finally, the last spot on my second team does go to Karl Anthony Towns, who's having the best season of his career. It was between him and Brunson to go ahead and round out this second team, and I lean Cat because he's been a bit more available, and when Jalen Brunson missed some time, Cat was just so good in his absence, and the Knicks stayed afloat, not playing quite as well because of course they're missing Jalen Brunson, but still pretty good, even with Jalen Brunson out of the lineup. So yeah, give me Cat having a career year, which brings me to the third team. Jalen Brunson is of course starting that off, has also been amazing, has yet to officially meet the 65 games played requirement as I'm recording this video, but he only has to play one of the Knicks' remaining 2 games, and I'd be shocked if he didn't do that, so he's going to hit that spot. I'll have some honorable mentions just in case, but Brunson also having an amazing season for the Knicks. Then I've got Cade Cunningham. I've talked about the Pistons so much in this video, but I'm going to talk about them again. Triple their win total. They've been one of the stories, the story I would say of the season so far, and Cade has just been so special, one of the league's best playmakers, a rapidly improving scorer. He does everything. He's the closer for this team, hit that big shot against the Heat, that game winner. That's been kind of the story of the year, is Cade Cunningham's rise to superstardom for this Pistons team. 100% should be on one of the All-NBA teams. If you put him on second team, honestly, don't even blame me with how good he has been. Then I have Jaren Jackson Jr., who spent a majority of the year on my All-NBA second team, but he slips a little bit as the Grizzlies do. Their defense has fallen off. He's not been quite as good on that end. He's still been amazing on the season overall. There was a reason he was the D-point frontrunner at a moment, but the big thing for him has been the offensive growth. He is so much more dynamic than he's ever been on offense, creating his own shot, hitting spot-up looks off of passes from John Morant or Desmond Bane or whoever. Jaren is so good, such a great two-way player, and I think those reps that he got last season in the midst of all the disastrous injuries, John missing majority of the year, have really paid off and have made him a lot more of a confident and important scorer, someone that could carry the load offensively for this Grizzlies team on a night-to-night basis. That brings me to Tyrese Haliburton, who I really never would have thought was going to make it on this team at the beginning of the season. He was such a disaster, and that caused his numbers to look way worse than I think they should be. But specifically in the second half of the season, since the All-Star break, dropping 20.4 points, 10.7 assists, 1.7 steals, shooting 52% from the field and 44% from three, on a Pacers team that rapidly rose up the standings and just clinched themselves a top 4 seed in the East. Tyrese should be All-NBA. 100%. I feel strongly that he should be on one of these teams. Another guy like Cade, if you put him on second team, I don't blame you whatsoever. Tyrese needs to be there. I know the first half of the season was kind of rough, but he really started turning it around that midpoint and has been easily one of the best players in the Eastern Conference over the second half of the season specifically. For the final spot on third team, there were a lot of guys I thought about, but ultimately I settled on Jalen Williams of the Thunder. Maybe it's my OKC bias talking, or maybe it's the fact that he is the second best player on one of the most historically dominant teams ever. It's one of the two things, but J-Dub has been so good this season, giving you over 20 points per game, giving you all NBA level defense, not many flaws in his game. At the beginning of the season, he was a little more inefficient than you wanted, but really in the second half of the season, shooting over 50% from the field, shooting over 40% from three, while playing that elite defense. Dub's been fantastic, one of the league's most versatile two-way players, doing basically everything you need when Shai's off the court to continue to elevate this team. Dub is an amazing player, and I think if he gets All-NBA, it's very deserved. Honorable mentions, there is a lot of them. James Harden, I thought about it, but just the efficiency overall in the season, it was too low for me to get there. But if you just want to talk about elevating this Clippers team and keeping them alive while Kawhi missed a majority of the year, I think there is a great argument there. Zubats, same thing, one of the best defenders in the sport while also improving on basically every single thing that you could possibly do in a basketball court. I think there is an argument to have him on an All-NBA team. Alperen Şengün, the Rockets have been so good this season. Maybe they should have an All-NBA rep, and if there is one, it probably is Şengün. He's been an offensive focal point, has been an elite rebounder, which is one of their big strengths, one of the reasons why they succeed, and he's been a lot better defensively than I think a lot of people were expecting coming into the season. Of course, really good playmaking hub, big two, can take over down the stretch of games. I think Şengün has an argument. Pascal Siakam, another guy, we talk about the Pacers. I couldn't get there with two guys for Indiana, but I do think Siakam has been so good this season. Kevin Durant probably would have been on my third team, or at least in the conversation we would have had to talk about, are the Suns too bad to get somebody? But we don't have to have that discussion because he's not going to hit 65 games, so that is out of the picture. Trae Young, with the way that he's led the league in assists this season, elevated the Hawks offense despite Jalen Johnson going down for a lot of the year. I think that deserves a little bit of consideration. Darius Garland, with how good he's been for Cleveland as that lead playmaker. I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Reeves got a couple of votes just with how good of a third option he's been, stepping up also as a playmaker, becoming the lead guy playing that PG spot. With the exit of D'Angelo Russell, of course, it's changed a little bit with Luka in town, but even still, he's been very consistent this entire year. Other guys as well, like Domantas Sabonis, but the Kings, with the record they have right now, I just don't see him getting that consideration. Amongst others, there are so many names I could go into. There are a lot of guys who have been so good this season, but ultimately, those are just some of my honorable mentions, and feel pretty good about the 15 I picked for All-NBA. Let me know what your teams look like. And that brings me to All-Defense. Real quick, I want to say I hate that there's not 3 All-Defensive teams because this was the hardest thing to pick, but I'm just going to go through it. Starting off with my first team, I have Evan Mobley, my D-point. I have Draymond Green, I have Ahmed Thompson, Dyson Daniels, and Lu Dort. Those are the 5 guys I have representing All-Defensive first team. Second team, it's really difficult. There are some snubs, but I went with Zubats, Jaren Jackson Jr., Jalen Williams, Rudy Gobert. I know people hate Rudy Gobert, but the Wolves defense has been so good all season, and Gobert has still been really good on that end, even if he's not quite up to like D-point level like we saw last season. And I went with OG Anunoby as the last spot. The Knicks defense, not very good, but OG has so many stretches where he single-handedly just wrecks the opposing team. The amount of stars that he's just eliminated, made vanish from big games, it's a really high number. So I want to give OG the love there. Some of the snubs include Bam Adebayo. I hate that Bam Adebayo is not on this because I think he's deserving. I just feel like it's been a little bit less of a great defensive season for Bam. He's still been unbelievable. He's still been elite, but I think he slides down just barely off it. He's my first cut. Tamuni Kamara, I really want to get Kamara on all defense too. I think he just barely misses out on it. Like Derek White's still been awesome this season. Chris Dunn, who I'm not even sure if he qualifies or not, but he deserves some of the love for all defense amongst so many others. I'm not going to get into it because I'll be here forever. This was the most difficult thing to pick, but ultimately those are my all defensive teams. And finally, my all rookie teams. First team, Stephon Castle, Zachary Risache, Alex Sarr, Jalen Wells, and Zach Edey. Second team, Yves Missi, Khalil Ware, Isaiah Collier, Manos Buzelis, and Bud Carrington. It was really hard splitting hairs, especially on that second team, but shout out to like Kyle Filipowski. He had a really good season. Keyshawn George, Justin Edwards, Donovan Clingan, Dalton Connect, just a few names off the top of my head. I have no idea how these are going to look. These are just who I feel like have probably been the 10 most impactful rookies from what I've seen this season. Yeah, it's a weird class to go ahead and pick these teams, and ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up looking very different. And with that being said, those are my NBA award picks. That is my official ballot. I appreciate you tuning in. Again, I want to hear your thoughts, your opinions on every single one of these. If you want to leave every single major award, all NBA teams, all that stuff down below, I'd love to see those comments. I love this discussion. I think this is a really specifically fun award season to debate and battle back and forth for your favorite candidates. I know personally as a Thunder fan, it's been a lot going back and forth on MVP. I'd love to hear your stances on all of it. Leave a like and subscribe, like I said at the beginning of the video. If you enjoyed, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads. I appreciate all your support throughout the regular season, and I'm really excited to get into the playoffs. After this video, I'm going to have like one question for every playoff team coming through. The second the bracket is set, after the final games on Sunday, I'm going to have a video coming out breaking it all down, talking about what matchups are most intriguing and what we can look forward to in the 2025 playoffs. There are going to be individual series previews all throughout next week. Every single day, there's going to be at least one, if not multiple. And then on Friday, I'm going to have my official playoff predictions, and then playoff coverage comes right after that. It's going to be an amazing postseason. I can't wait. And yeah, I'm just excited to go ahead and make content for it here in the channel, which you're not going to want to miss out on. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all later. Real one, stay back.